And we're live and a little bright this morning. I'm going to turn down the light a bit. Hey, it's Spence. Welcome. It's Friday office hours. Today is my big box of mystery, which is to say, we've got lots of cool random stuff to talk about, including a bunch of subscriber client questions and solutions we built. So I want to do a grab bag of fun here. For those of you who are used to the show, I'm going to check my audio now. It's working. I've got this figured out here at the new studio on the ranch. By the way, kudos to everybody who has come by and say hi this week. I had a really busy week and enjoyed sharing with many longtime as well as new customers some of the crazy cool things that are possible using WordPress as your platform with LaunchKit to help stabilize it. And today I'm going to give a lot of examples of that. The best thing that I do for everybody is to be a little bit like the Emperor's New Clothes kid, who I call it as I see it. The only thing I have in this life is my integrity, my reputation, my name. I think my desire to be as forthright with people as possible. And many of you have been very, very wonderful about being open to the idea that, look, you're an expert in your particular field, but even experts want to hire somebody who's going to take the load off of dealing with what really amazing meteor stream of all these things happening in WordPress is, because that could be by itself a full-time job, just like I have. So welcome to everybody who's coming in. And if you have questions, just go ahead and type them in, because good morning. I've got the chat live and I'm pretty good about managing it. Let's jump in. I want to lead with a couple things for this week. And by the way, let's see, this is the outside, this is the inside. I'm slightly disturbed by my lighting. This is the slightly OCD this morning. That's a little sunny. This is pretty good. Nicely balanced. Okay. Let's talk about WordPress in general. What has happened is that WordPress has an enormous number of people working on the core. And one of the things that I do best, and I've always done best, is to act as the concierge, the sort of buffer. And let me switch this to a less intrusive model. Between the WordPress core, the plugins, the things that you want to accomplish for yourself as an implementer, an agency owner, or even as an entrepreneur. When WordPress core previously was updated, there was a group of people that were really honoring the traditions, the metaphors, the things that were necessary. And in doing so, it wasn't always the case that every day you'd wake up to a new surprise. Well, kids, those days are over. Cheers. Now what happens is that in addition to the plugins and everything else, updating almost daily, the core team is changing a lot of the metaphors. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that, because they are trying to achieve what has apparently taken them 6 years and they've not succeeded in doing, which is to just emulate what the private companies have already done, like Cadence, and have a user interface that is stable and predictable. Like, no matter which car you drive in the United States, with some exceptions, thank gosh, most of them still have the steering wheel, the gas pedal, and the brake in the same spot. But similar to WordPress, many companies have decided that the gear shift lever on a new car no longer goes from park at the front to, the highest gear at the back. Instead, it's press a button, move up to the left, and jiggle it this way with your foot on the brake in order to get into reverse. And weird shit like that makes it very difficult for people who are expecting a certain behavior. Similarly, WordPress core is doing some stuff that's very unusual. Let's launch a new site, and I'll give you a couple examples of what I mean. And then I'm going to get into the things that we're doing to stabilize that for you. Okay. First of all, let's just go to try.new, and I'm going to launch a brand new site here with LaunchKit in it, just for the shits and giggles. I'm not going to use this for our main demo, but I want to show you because this is an example of how you can right now use LaunchKit for many of the key features for free, even if you don't have a paid subscription to get to the premium stuff, like the plugins and the support. Let me scale this just a little to get some more in. Okay, here's what came in. One of my, let's say, most successful, longest term customers and a colleague and friend at this point is Anne. She brought up when she had a team of people working for her that suddenly she was not able to see what was happening in a page because of the new editor. Let's first look at it before we do LaunchKit. If you go to the new editor with Gutenberg, and you don't have anything else installed, just go to add new page. This by itself annoys the hell. Can I say hell? Yeah. Annoys the hell out of me. What the hell are they doing launching this overlay with the patterns? First of all, LaunchKit blocks this stuff from happening. But this is nonsense. I don't want to use your pattern coming from WordPress. Why are you throwing it at me? Number two, let's take a look at the top of the page here. On the most prime real estate, like literally the top center of the entire interface, is a gigantic bar that does nothing. It is just a shortcut bar. And my colleague Adam Presser pointed this out. What the holy hell is happening here with these people that are putting this in instead of a billion other things that could be useful in this space? All it is a modal window pop out. They could have literally just had an icon over to the left or something, but instead they're going to take up the entire top, like you bought a car and they basically put a gigantic window sticker across the driver's view for no good reason. But here's where it gets really, really, unfortunately weird. When you go into preview mode for the different responsive layouts, desktop, tablet, or mobile, they change the way this works for their own behavior because, see, they only see the world through what they're trying to do. They are, and I say they, I mean the people who are currently making decisions at the core are really not looking at it like anybody's using anything other than what they're giving to them. Here's why. Let's go ahead and install common plugins. We're going to use LaunchKit for this to show you how easy it is to do this. If you've not done LaunchKit before, literally install it for free from the repository or use a demo like I'm showing you. Add these admin features to stabilize all that craziness that happens normally. But let's go to the installer and watch what happens. I'm going to just install my normal stack of plugins, and I'm going to enable a couple of them, like Foo Events, a very popular event plugin. Okay, let's do this. First, I'm going to put Cadence theme in. And what I like to do every time is I just like to put all the plugins in, which is awesome. Look how easy LaunchKit makes this. This is why, in addition to the other tools, your life as a WordPress site owner, administrator, an agency owner is going to be changed in a revolutionary way. I'm going to buy you back hundreds of hours of time. You can also check for updates, but since this was just installed, I know it's the latest update. You'll never again have to worry about having somebody as a concierge look for you, make sure none of these new plugins are breaking stuff, offer them in a delivery vehicle that quick. I'm also going to use the Prime Mover just in case I want to do a package or a pattern. Now, let's just turn on a few plugins. I could use a recipe here, but in this case, I'm not going to use a recipe. I'm just going to manually turn them on. I'm also going to hide notices. Notice at the top that LaunchKit allows me to hide all of the shenanigans that are otherwise going to distract me. So I want to show you what happens, which is really disturbing to me. If I were to install something, let's do a couple of them. Let's do, I mean, I can install everything. That would be fine, but I'm just going to install some of the Cadence stuff just to show you can do some a la carte kind of things. And let's just turn on launch flows. And let's turn on maybe WooCommerce. And then I'm going to do Foo Events because the Foo Events one really demonstrated what was wrong going on here. Okay. And let's do Foo Events. And again, today is Spence having fun, chilling out, showing you stuff live. So this is a grab bag day. This is not, I don't have an agenda today. All right. So I think that's probably good. All right, let's just enable these for now. And hopefully in my demo here, this won't cause any trouble from randomly activating things, but oh, there we go. I knew in advance that might be trouble because the difficulty with ZipWP is it's very, ZipWP is a demo site, which I love launching things in a minute, but it unfortunately does not handle things well when you enable them. So I'm going to go over here to my existing site as my backup. I think because they have limited memory and it just is unhappy when you try to enable more than one thing at once. Let's just go here and I can hopefully demonstrate for you what I was talking about. I've got backups. Unfortunately, like all of my live events, there is no net. So let me activate the plugin that I know is causing this to trip. Let's just try to do this. Let's just try to do foo events by itself. And my whole point of this, as you'll see, is that in certain situations, the things that are in the meta box below the editor come up. I just need to turn on one thing and that'll be enough. Let's see if this will keep ZipWP from crashing. Okay. Let's see if I can show you what this does. It's still not doing it, but what can I do to get that to go? Let's see. This is going to be the slowest of my starts from normal doing stuff. Let's try one more thing. Let's do, well, let me try something else. Let me try launch flows.wp launch site. Let's just go into my demo site here and see if I got it going, because I don't want to overstate this one thing and lose the momentum that I would normally have. All right. So let's hope I actually have 6.6 installed. Let's go to add new page. Let's see if we get the result I was looking for. I'm not going to have luck with this, so I'm going to abandon it. My point was, and I don't know why I'm having such bad luck. I just don't have anything that's fully enabled here. Maybe one last try. Hold on. Let me unshare this screen for a second. Let me try one other thing before I completely throw in the towel for my Friday. I like to be very casual when I set these up, but I didn't test that I had this one particular point. So here, I've got LaunchKit template. Let's do this. All right, I'm going to reshare. This is on a Rocket site, so hopefully I won't have the same trouble. Add new page. Spence is just not going to have any luck today with this. My bottom line point was, and I'll just have to make a follow-up, that when one has something like foo events activated, I'm going to try one more time. The open meta box on the bottom goes to the top of the page. And I'm not really sure this is weird because I've got it here. Let's do a product page. Maybe that's it. But when I've got it open like that, the difficulty is that they did not consider that the meta boxes on the bottom will cover up the whole top. And so what happened was, upon further investigation, I discovered that, for anybody who already had the stuff installed and set up, it became apparent that to them that they no longer had an editor. It just looked like a blank screen. Long story short, because I want to move on from my otherwise magnanimous start today. When we are dealing with the core updates, it's very important to understand that each time an update is made, there's probably something useful in it. But a lot of the stuff, like this is a good example of, a lot of the stuff becomes useless or kind of silly, if you ask me. Look at now how much real estate is left in a smaller view. I have almost no room left. In fact, the buttons are all crunching up. At a certain point, I would imagine things are going to start to get even weirder. Like, look what's happening there, right? Like the Control K gets overwritten halfway. Just bizarre stuff. All right. Let's switch gears so I can get back on a strong foot. One of the things that came up in the process of client calls was I had a client who came to me and said, Spence, I love the fact that LaunchKit allows me to manually manage all of the various things that I need in a site with a plugin. But what if I have other plugins that I just want to move manually? Is there a way to upload a lot of stuff and install plugins in one fell swoop? And I said, I'll check it out because I know I've been thinking about that for a long time. And we solved that with LaunchKit previously, but only for the things that are in the launch kit. So here's an example of something that I wrote that I'd love your input on that might become an actual feature or might just be a standalone giveaway plugin, the bulk plugin uploader. And the basic idea was, what if I could just grab a bunch of plugins and have them upload and install without having to do them one at a time, because it's kind of a drag. I mean, let's be honest about that. If you're really going to your plugins and you want to do more than one, right now with WordPress, you still can't do that. You can just go add new plugins and you can say upload, but you can choose one, right? So if I want to install Woo Product Bundle Premium, that's great. I can't select multiple, you see, with the Shift key. What if we change that? So I believe this ends up under tools, bulk plugin uploader. So here's a little doodad that I wrote that I think would be very useful for a lot of people. And as part of the launch kit will be something that's, included for free, of course. What if we could just do this? Here's a bunch of plugins. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugins. Open, upload, and install. Let's see. I'm having just an amazing day with ZipWP. ZipWP is awesome, but it's not so awesome when it comes to memory. So I probably should stop using it for these demos, because if you do anything more than like 1 megabyte, it gives you those scary messages. Anyway, it did work. It was just giving you a temporary, hold on, my brain is frozen. So what just happened is I successfully uploaded and installed 5 plugins, which is a real time saver. We can see some of those here. I have a bunch of other stuff that was installed, but if we look for WPC, for example, here's the WPC composites and the other plugins that I installed. So that I think is very interesting and cool. I'd love to get your guys' feedback on this. If something like that might be useful, I would imagine the reason it would be useful would be, let's say you have a bunch of legacy plugins like this client had, and you're trying to do the same kind of stuff that we now build into Launch Kit, where you have a recipe. And I'll give you a little quick reminder of that feature. With Launch Kit under the manager, let's say you have a site that has a lot of stuff in it, and you're doing your best to get rid of the things that aren't going to be activated, but you have to turn things on and off in order to do maintenance or management or testing, whatever. So what we've given you the ability to do in the manager is to, unilaterally activate or deactivate various plugins, right? But you can also build a recipe. So any of the things that have the checkbox can be turned into a recipe that you give a custom name to. And then later that is used to upload and enable just those things. So it's a way to memorialize what were the ingredients that I had in this particular user site. And it makes it easier to manage, because if you use the installer, whenever there is an update, you can just go install every one of the new ingredients into this freezer of Launch Kit, because you don't have them all enabled or activated. You just activate the ones that you want. And so the installer lets you keep the fridge stocked or the freezer stocked. The manager lets you have a reminder for clients what it is exactly that they have activated. And the rest of the stuff doesn't bother anybody. It just sits there minding its own business. Okay. All right. So that's how those work together. This third option I think will be interesting, because let's say you have a legacy client, you still want to use Launch Kit. What a pain in the ass that you could do all these cool things with Launch Kit. Like today, here's some things that need to be updated, but you can't do as easy with your legacy plugins coming from God knows where. This is a way to help you out. Okay, here's another idea that I wrote a functional thing for. And I put them into Fluent Snippets. Fluent Snippets is a tool that I use when I'm developing, because I could write them as a plugin and then install the plugin and so forth. But this gives me a way to just continually edit and do other things. Here's the setup. Well, I'm going to come back to this one, because this one has a couple parts that I want to talk about. Let me talk to you about another feature. So when you're using any of my services, there's an option with WP Launch Kit to have the $97 a month, which includes a hosted website on rocket.net. Rocket.net is one of 659 maybe WordPress hosts that are available, but they are my choice of all, because they allow me to offer at $10 a month a hosted site. And in doing so, I can give you a selfish experience on my end, a fully functional website. By the way, good example here. Even though it's a fully powerful paid site, I'm giving you a $30 retail value of a website for $10. That's my cost, because I just don't want to deal with your site having problems like memory crashes and other things that are are going to be common, or most of the time it's object caching or browser caching, things that make the stack of stuff not work properly. So Rocket.net is my selfish way of just saying, look, take $10 out of my pocket, use this, even if it's just for demonstration purposes, so that we don't have to spend your money on fixing problems with your host. However, I found that with a lot of people, they want to buy multiple sites, and I want to sell multiple sites. Now, I can have as I've shown you before, I have the ability for you to just use my affiliate link and go get your own sites, but you're not going to get my wholesale pricing there. You're going to pay $30 for the thing. This is an interesting way for me, and I'm showing it to you because it might be useful for your business. If you want to also use the agency plan of Rocket and cost you $10 a month per site or whatever, this is a way to launch client sites simply by selling a WooCommerce product. Now, I'm very close with the team, Ben Gabler and the rest of the team over at Rocket. They had a plugin that came out before WooCommerce 9.0 that sort of did a good job with this, but I want to just suggest it's not gotten the love that it's needed. So I wrote a new version of this to do exactly what I wanted to do, which is I can set up on the back end in WooCommerce my credentials to log in as a agency plan holder at rocket.net. And by the way, if you go to wplaunchify.com, Rocket, that is my affiliate link, you can go ahead and get your own plan directly, like I said, for $30 a month for the thing I give you for 10. But if you go to the agency hosting, you can spend $100 and get 10 sites. And these are the same things that you'd pay $54 a month for at Cloudways. Or, oh my God, irrational, I would never do it, $150 a month at WP Engine, and end up with something that doesn't give you the same power and control. So think of this as comparable to if you buy 10 of them. Hello, good morning. If you buy 10 of them, you can get essentially your whole net covered for what would have cost you like $540 over on Cloudways, or $1,500. But the point is, if you're not otherwise needing that, you just need one site, I can give you from my account the same thing. All right. So here's what happens. When somebody goes to buy this, this will actually, let's go incognito here. This will give them the experience of launching a new site, paying for the subscription that can be canceled at any time, and it will show up in their account. But what it does for me is it will actually launch the new rocket.net site, which is super, super cool. I'm going to have to do my little game here where I did last time, where I'm going to turn off the screen just because when I do this, I'm going to put in a coupon code. So hold on 1 second. Let me turn off this screen. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this incognito. And we're going to just do a quick coupon code. So I'll get that down to a 0 price so I don't have to refund myself. And the reason this might be interesting, I think, to a lot of folks is you might be interested in hosting your clients on Rocket. I don't care if you do, but if you do, this might be an interesting option because you can do the same thing where it's costing you $10, but you sell them as part of your other package. So I want you to see what's happening here. So the client experience is straight up. So we'll call this test buyer 1000 at test.com, test buyer 1000. Now, the cool part about this is because I was able to interact with the API of Rocket, a simple sale of any WooCommerce product that I designate in the back end, and I can choose any number of products to do this, will sell the person the subscription, set them up. It will launch the rocket.net site automatically. It will send them the emails that have all the meta information they need to log in, and it will put into the order, as well as the administrator account, the password, all of the things that they need and I need, all in one fell swoop. You know, it sounds wild. What this means is for a company of one, I can sell 10,000 sites with 0 effort. Rocket is an amazing partner. As you just saw, they have a concierge team that's available, ready to help. So whether it be through a relationship with me as my agency, or you get your own agency account, you can have the same experience. Or you're welcome to use my affiliate link and just go ahead and do that. I'm going to be offering, by the way, because I don't do affiliate stuff normally, I'm going to be offering a free 3-month version of Launch Kit to go when somebody signs up. I shouldn't say free, it's going to be $1 plus $1. It'll be $2 so that somebody could get their relationship with Rocket. They give you a free month. So it's kind of cool. You can try Rocket for free for a month, but if you do that and I get the affiliate commission, I'm going to give you a launch kit to go for essentially just $1. So I have your card on file in the event you change your mind. All right, watch this. So here's the checkout. Buy the product, and I'm buying this not as me, I'm buying this as a person. By the way, today is random thought day. So this is kind of like my brain. If you were here with me and my brain alone, this is kind of how my mind bounces around with stuff. I'm actually slowed down maybe 50%. So when the checkout happens, two things are going on. First of all, this new user is being created. They're being added to my CRM. This is a live checkout, even though it turned out to be for $1, where the person is now a subscriber to WP Launchify. We can see a couple things. First of all, we can see that there's a new subscription that's active. This is going to be the subscription that manages the hosted site. This isn't Launch Kit or anything else. This very specifically says what it's for, right? It's for hosted site. Now, the actual order itself contains the details that somebody needs to get in. So here is, and I don't mind showing you this because now I'll have an extra site to play with to show you those other things. Here is how easy it is. The site creates the username from the email and the order. So is it possible that between the time of somebody buying the site from me, or if you use this kind of software, getting into the user site, I suppose, but they'd have to know the email of the buyer and the order number. And that has to happen really quick because I remind the buyers, please just change your password once you've logged in. But what this does is this very same information is being sent also automatically in an email using not the marketing automation, but rather using the transactional email of WooCommerce. And I'm going to show you that too. Let me do this. I'm going to do this. I think I can do it on both sides, but let me just get the email itself and I'll pull it over to the screen. Because this was important to me. I didn't want to have a whole set of automations that were set up just for managing transactional stuff. One of the benefits of using LaunchKit is that we know we've got WooCommerce and all of the transactional type of emails that can happen. So I wanted to just double down on that. Okay, it's safe to show you this. So I think, otherwise I'll switch screens and it's gonna ask me for that. Let me switch back over. So let me just show you the other screen again. Okay, so here's my Gmail. A couple things come through. First of all, this is for me, the administrator. I get a notice of the sale, which could be useful because it helps to trigger, for example, that I know I need to help somebody out. The reason that I'm not going to actually be able to see what the buyer gets, but they get almost the exact same email, is because I should have sent it to Lab Secrets, but I sent it to this. But the point is, the email is the standard order email for me as the administrator. And now I've hooked into it. So now I'm selling essentially agency sites. They're being created and I don't have to do any extra work. The user gets onboarded. They have all the information they need. Plus, they're also going to get, there probably is the email here. Let's see. Oh, I didn't get the email here because it wasn't sent to WP. Sorry, it wasn't sent to Lab Secrets. But here, you get something like this. This is what the buyer email looks like. And they do get an automation email from me. So if somebody comes on board and they are a brand new client, here's what I sent to them as well, which is using Fluent CRM. This is my standard onboarding email, which is going to have a couple more additions to it now, that essentially says like, look, thanks for your purchase. I only really sell 3 things: a Launchify account, LaunchKit the software, hands-on support. And I explained to them that they're going to be getting, let's say, other emails if they bought hosting. So I keep this as simple as possible. But what I like about this, and the reason for me sharing this publicly, is this can be done for any number of hosts. If you do happen to use another host besides Rocket, this very same plugin, I think, is a way that I can offer to those who are interested. Probably isn't going to be a mainstream service, a way for you to essentially easily sell using your launch kit any product, any subscription, and then the client or you can manage that relationship, which leads into what I was going to talk about next, which is managing those relationships for subscriptions where you have a more complex business. And let me do one other thing too. I'm going to show you just before I leave this point. Let me present that user view because I want to show you what they normally get out of the box, which is the ability to manage what they've got. Okay, so back to this is that test buyer who just got the launch kit site. Because they've got the ability to do so, they can manage their subscription. And if they want to cancel, they can cancel. If they cancel, this is a hosted site. I have the ability to either nuke their site right away, bye-bye site, or I can delay it and trigger an automation, which is to say it cancels their subscription, but it doesn't nuke their site right away. Rather, I've got something that I can put in that has an intermediary email that says, are you sure you want to do that? Do you really want me to remove your site? Did you mean to do that? Do you understand it? Because I think that's what's important, is understanding the nature of your customers. So notice here, if somebody nukes this subscription, it gives them a button. It says they can reactivate it if they made a boo-boo. If they canceled it, they're going to get an email from me that says, are you sure you want to do that? Really? You really want me to delete all your hard work? Because it's otherwise going to be very traumatic to a lot of people if that happens. And I don't want to necessarily make backups for everybody. So these are the kind of thoughtful things that can be included in your business. I'm bringing them to your attention because part of the tool set that I build is really for agencies, administrators, people that have lots of sites. Now, oh my goodness, here's an example of the third thing I want to show you. So now that I'm done with that, let's get rid of that window and let's present the third thing, which I think this is super interesting, and it is not fully baked, but here's the setup. Okay, done with these emails, done with this extra. Okay, so here's the setup. I created something that is called the WooCommerce Subscription Date Changer, and it's added as a complement to two other plugins that I'm going to probably, maybe three, add to the kit. What if you have a situation where, like this particular client of mine, they have 3,000 WordPress sites that they run for a particular industry. I won't reveal this at this time, but their industry is something where they're not super technical. Let's say they're in business, but the site owners just need the sites, and this agency has 3,000 clients. Now, here's the setup. With a few plugins, I'm able to set up a situation where they can bundle all of their various agency services, but the thing that the client really needed was, let's say out of 3,000 clients, that the client can choose from 3 or 4 products and services, and every month, the agency wants the client to have a date that they get billed, but they want the clients to be billed for all of the stuff in their box. So, for example, maybe 3,000 people, everybody has a different date of the month that they start for their subscription. The things that they get every month change because the client should have the ability to change. Hey, I want this Facebook marketing service, or hey, I don't need this thing anymore, whatever. So we need the ability for products to be sold as a bundle. We want the ability for subscriptions to be created for any number of things in the box, but they should be synchronized to the same date. The date should be changeable by the buyer, and the buyer should be able to add and remove things easily. Sounds like a lot, right? I think I figured out a good solution for it. So here's the setup. Number one, I'm using the WPC product bundles plugin. Seems to offer a really solid thing. I'm going to add it to the kit. Here's an example of a group subscription product. Let's edit this to make it the bundle, because the difference between the group and the bundle is worth noting. When I do it as a smart bundle, let's add product 1. I can, as you can see, I can add any products. Let's add 3 products. Product 1, product 2, product 3. The difference when I do it this way is that I have 3 things that are in, but they have a parent, like a container that holds it. And I'm going to have a retail price based upon what the value is of the items in there. But the idea is it's like a Tupperware container. So this is what it looks like to the end user. Example, group subscription. You get all 3 of these things. Add that to the cart. In this case, you'd probably go right to the checkout. But the point is, we notice, let's go to the checkout with launch flows. We can see it easier. We notice that, look, we've got the parent, $300, and then you've got all the individual items. Okay. So selling that as like a package deal is pretty cool, because when the person buys it, and I'll just buy it myself here, they will end up with a subscription for those things. It's very handy, like everything in this Tupperware box for a certain price. Let's go to their account and let's see, like we just did, their subscription. Here it is, $300 a month. The neat thing though is, look, now they can remove, well, you know, I'm not super thrilled with paying for product 2 anymore. Let's just remove that. And ta-da, now their subscription is automatically changed to $200 a month. That's it. That's it. That's it. Really super easy, right? That in of itself is amazing. But let's go farther. Spence, I'm not super thrilled with my payment date being September on the 2nd of every month. Okay. I would really rather pay on the 11th or something. Okay, cool. And I would rather pay at 12 noon. Let's update the date. Oh, it's that simple, really? Now I'm paying on the 11th, $200 a month. Amazing, awesome. Subscription ID is modified. Let's go one step further. I really want to add that product 5. I love that product 5. I don't know what product 5 is. Let's add this in. So I can go check out what it is. Let's add that to an existing subscription, like the one that I just had that's $200 a month on September 11th. Click. Guess what? I've now got a subscription for $333 a month. So what have I got here? What I'm fascinated by is, in the past, when I've done this for clients, I've had to do so much crazy shit to make it happen. Integromat or Zapier, I've had to use Uncanny Automator, which, by the way, is a good product, but like, oh my God, such a load on the servers and everything else you need. This is fast. This is lightweight, ties together with the marketing automation. It works with the tagging. It works with the conditional displays. Like, you already have this. Is it already in the cart? And the best news is, on the back end, all of this information is included in the stuff that gets sent to the client. So the client knows where they're at any time, and the administrator gets to see what's in there as well. Now, by the way, on that last thing I showed you with like launching rocket.net sites, what's really cool to me is, I couldn't show it to you because it's a live WP Launchify site, but like on the back end in the order, I can see the username plus the order number as the original user. And I can see in the order details what the site ID is, what the site URL is, what the username, all the information I would ever need in the future to get myself back in there. Well, I showed it to you in the email, actually, so you kind of saw, which means that I have less cognitive load. Even though that information is in my CRM, I don't have to go looking around. I can just go, oh, look up the person by the email they're communicating me with. Same here. So if I go ahead on the back end and I go to WooCommerce subscriptions, how much nicer is this? Let's take a look. I've got this order here. Okay. I can see exactly what they've got. I can see the subscription date. And if I don't like that September 11th, I can change that. I could just say, no, I don't think so. I'm going to put you on the 19th update. Now, For those of you who are using external things and haven't bought into LaunchKit using WooCommerce as the transactional engine, you have no idea what you're missing until you see how easy it is to be able to just manage everything about a customer and their orders and their subscriptions, as well as in the CRM. I don't know if I have this one set up with Fluent CRM, but like in the CRM, as I showed you before, being able to go right to the person and seeing their entire history documented in one spot. But along with some of that is the common sense of, I'm saying as your concierge, I'm working out systems that have very lightweight bits of code, maybe, that I create as part of the standard kit for thousands of people. So I know it will work, that smooth out all these rough edges. Here's an example. Rather than just loading in, I love Ryan Moore and his team, but like Uncanny Automator and all the stuff, or signing up for API calls going to Integromat or Zapier, this date changer plugin, I think it's like 300 lines of code I wrote, maybe. No, sorry. It's 122 lines of code. It's like a glorified snippet. And if anything needs to be fixed or changed, I gotcha. That's my thing. This bulk plugin uploader, I think this one's even smaller. It's 79 lines of code. These are tchotchkes. But what's interesting to me is, like IKEA, if I'm selling you the chair and the table and I know how everything goes together, and somebody like a client comes along and says, oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was like a pop-up coffee maker? I can do that. And you can use it. It comes in the kit. I give you all the, like, and you can take it all to go. And whether you use the hosting through Rocket or use your own hosting, it doesn't matter, because like I've shown you, you can launch Kit from a free plugin, and you can use the free tools, which are really, really strong and powerful and amazing for lots of stuff. Or you can go farther and have the relationship of the software bundle or the hands-on help. Now, the hands-on help is a great example. This client paid for an hour of my time, but in return, we walked through all of their problems. And I said, let me just look into this and come up with a recipe. And then I sprinkled a little Spence secret sauce on top. Finally, I want to do one other thing while I'm here. I want to show, for the benefit of a couple clients that were asking, when we're using WP Launchify's launch flows for sales funnels, as well as this kit, how you can do things like upsells and order bumps. I know this sounds bizarre, but like this question seems to come up again and again. I've done full videos on this, full episodes on this, so I'm not going to get into too much, but I have launch flows installed, and I haven't really set up any of the details of this. So I'll just turn on like the thumbnail and product quantity. That's enough. Okay, here's the situation. Let's say you've got the product and you want to sell it. The product itself can be sold directly to checkout, or the link can be used elsewhere. But what if you want to sell two products? You want to have a bump. A bump is adding to that order. An upsell is where you replace the one thing with another thing. So let's say if I had this primary product, and we'll just make it virtual and downloadable, and it's $100. Okay, and with launch flows, it normally goes to the checkout, and then afterwards goes to the thank you page, which I don't know if I have a thank you page, so I'd have to make the thank you page. When I want to sell this, I can use just the primary direct to checkout link here, or I can just publish the page as is. And if I had a nice image with an instant clean sales page, it'll look really clean and easy to add the product. Okay. Now in this case, I also, because I have that plugin installed, all products, I can also make this, if I want, into a subscription product, which is a cool option. If I wanted to turn off that option, I would go over here, and that all products has a global option under WooCommerce. So if I go to settings, subscriptions, all products, so I can do it only for subscription products. That way it won't show up if it's a one-time. Okay, so this by itself is, a neat little product that I can add. What if I wanted to have a bump? Okay. Well, when I add this one to the checkout, one of the easiest things to do is to just add a bump here. And I can do that just by knowing the ID of another product I want to add. So let's say I want to add product 5. That's ID of 23. All I need to do is just edit the page, and I can use the design tools that are available to me, which is awesome. Let's put in a row, and I can do, well, let's do actually a cadence row if I have cadence installed, let's say. If not, I can use a regular row. No, I don't have. I'm just going to use the off the shelf stuff. It makes no difference. Just put in a row. And here I'm going to put bump. And all I need to do is change the ID to another product, 23, and maybe change the circle, the radio button, to a square, like a checkbox. And in doing that, I will have an order bump product that's available at the top of the checkout, ready for somebody to instantly add, right? I just click the button, and that will be added to the cart along with whatever else they've got ready to buy. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it would be to make a separate page. So if, let's say, I want to have a step-by-step process instead of somebody being able to bump at checkout, all you need to do is just make a new page and then decide whether that product should be added by itself. Somebody could just bypass the thing, or added with the other things that are in the cart. And here's how I would do that. So order bump, or upsell, or no thanks. Now, I'm not even using the cadence design tool, so I could turn those on, but just to show you, it's not even necessary. First thing we could do is we could say, here is the thing you should buy. If you want to do it as a bump, you just can put the bump in and it'll show all the information they need. Let's just put in an image, and I'm using standard WordPress stuff here, so I'm not concerned about the look and feel. Here's the thing you should buy. And let's make it only 150 pixels. And you can use the buttons, and you could say, yes, add to order. I can duplicate this, and let me just turn on, because it's going to drive me crazy. I'm going to turn on the cadence stuff. There's absolutely no reason I shouldn't be using cadence here. Okay, let's refresh. This will make my life a little easier. Much better. Okay, so let's just add the buttons here, add after. Okay. Yes. And then let's duplicate this. No thanks. And then let's add one more. Do the upsell instead. Now, obviously, you're not going to do the upsell instead, but I just want to point out something. If you do this kind of thing and you offer, let's say, a product on an intermediary step, the yes button, if you wanted to bump it, just needs to be the product add to cart link, because then it will just add this same product, this new extra bump product, along to the thank you page, right? So if you were to go into this product 5, just take the launch flows direct to checkout link and make sure that the checkout page is set up as the same thing as the original product. Most people, it will be no problem, because the checkout page is just the one page. Okay. So in this case, with product 5, I could just grab the direct to checkout link and I put it in that button. Super simple. That means that whatever else came before that's in the cart, this will be added to it. The no thanks, even easier. Just don't do anything. Just go right to the checkout page. So type checkout. That's saying, I'm not going to do anything here. The upsell. The difference between an upsell product, in the essence, is that it clears the cart out. Okay. So if I go over here to my products, let's make an upsell product real quick. WooCommerce product, add new. We just have one thing we add to the product called only buy this by itself. Upsell product, solo checkout. Okay. So let's say it's virtual, and this is, let's say it's a super duper bundle. So it's $200. When we set up launch flows, we want to make sure it goes to the checkout page, of course. But here, besides the instant clean sales page, solo checkout. That is going to bump anything else out of the checkout. And so now we take this direct to checkout link for this, and we use that as the URL of this button. So you might change the color, make the style cool. I mean, this is obviously an opportunity here. This is like make the buttons different colors and so on and so forth. Now, ta-da, I've got an intermediary step. I don't think I would offer an upsell and an order bump on the same page because they're kind of like an upsell would be, here's a package that has a camera, film, everything else in it, or the super deluxe package. Whereas a bump is like, you're buying a camera. Would you like to add film? Would you like to add batteries? Would you like to add other things? It's a subtle difference, but like upsells tend to be replacing the whole package, whereas bumps tend to be just, do you want to get stuff that goes along with this? But either way, this is the neat thing. Here's our product with our janky image. And if I say yes, it will add that to the cart with whatever else I have. Here it is, right? Here's product 5. Let's delete that and do it again. And now we're going to do no thanks, which should be no product 5 in there, right? And then let's do the upsa, which should replace the primary product with product 5. And there you go. Okay. Gang, this has been fun. Other than Marcus, you've been a very polite crowd and not said anything, but I appreciate the questions that have come in. I think the takeaway for me, some weeks like this, I have like different types of energy. And today I just had a bunch of random stuff. I didn't feel like doing a prepared talk, but I did feel like sharing that, man, oh man, exciting stuff going on. And as far as the number of people using LaunchKit, how it's working out, getting real life interaction, but more importantly is really being able to help implementers, agency owners, and people who otherwise are struggling with how frustrating WordPress can be, even though they've otherwise had good success with it in the past. And the reason is not your fault. You are not alone. Everybody is building Frankenstein monsters or has shiny ball syndrome. And that's where I've essentially delivered a solution that I, as a company of one, can combine my own experiences, my own live testing, my own desire to have these really personal relationships with you, even if we're just $97 a month. So I can help you by having a standard set of stuff that I can scale out along with minute recipes, which leads me to one other thing. I'm going to share something I didn't think I was going to do, but I might as well share this. This is actually something that to me is like a side note, but I sent out another email about one of the tools that I think as a company of one is going to be huge. So I've explained how I'm trying to get all of my stuff down to this simplicity, right? Imagine if everything I know in my brain that you get from me from personal consultations was boiled down to recipes that were 4 steps. And that if those steps had something even more ridiculous, like what if there was a version of Spence involved in this? And I think I have to go in the back end of this, which I will. Oh, here. What if there was a version of Spence built into this that could summarize how to actually do this in detail, including Spence's voice? That's, I don't know if you heard that. This audio is me, but the creation of this whole page, the content, everything else, was a way for me to take what came from live conversations or training material that I've already created and to re-summarize it and build it. And I used a tool called 11 Labs. It's a paid service. You could try it for free. This is wild. I don't think, unfortunately, my audio is set up. I mean, I'm on this mic, not on the desktop, but what I am able to do is to use AI to generate from live content, from phone calls and from data on my site, these scripts. Then I can put the script automatically through a tool called Make or Integromat. Hold on. Which I'd used in a previous office hours to show. I can create a script that sends this stuff in here for the virtual Spence to read and create something that then is automatically posted along with auto-generated images into the thing that I showed here. Now, why is this useful? I don't want to ever create bots for my clients or for anybody for help. I think that is the most annoying thing ever. You know, it's like phone jail with a spin. But many people may be wanting to listen to what I have to say while they're walking or while they're in their car, or maybe the recipe, the minute launch recipe is awesome, but they want me, besides a live video, to elaborate on particular steps or philosophies or strategies. I don't have enough time in my life to do all that, but I have the content that already exists and I'm constantly making it because I keep having phone calls that I say the same things over and over and over and over again, similar to what you may do. So I feel like this is an opportunity where I can bottle up a version of Spence that's about as good as it's going to get to having a real call with me, but for things that you want to go deeper on. So being able to get to stuff quickly, having the shortest recipe card possible, but being able to expand it into something that you know isn't me, but it feels as intimate as me, like if you're listening to me on a podcast or today, and yet I don't have to keep generating all that content and editing it when things change. Because if, let's say, for example, one of the things that are in here is different, the plugins changed or the wording's changed, whatever, all I need to do is I just go back in and in like 2 seconds change some words, right? If I edit these words, I could change it. Here's the last benefit. Let's say Spence is annoying the hell out of you and you don't want to listen to Spence. That's okay. We can use a different voice. Instead of Spence, we can use Bill or Alice or Brian or Daniel or Jessica or Laura or Liam or anybody. As easy as that, right? So let's hear Sarah, Sarah reading this stuff. Okay, so cool stuff. Working on figuring out how I can do it. But the ultimate goal for me is so that I have a set of instructions that will complement the things that normally right now have to come from personal interaction. But not because I don't want to have the personal interaction. Rather, I'd rather spend the time that I have learning more about you, your business, and doing the brainstorming things like I just showed you from yesterday I did, where I can solve problems and then apply them in a way that more people can benefit. Like imagine there's 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 people using LaunchKit. It'd be like IKEA. We could all be making cool stuff that works together instead of the, oh my God thing I tried to start with today's webinar, demonstrating that like the core team is breaking how WordPress works and they don't understand why. Well, we can buffer that. I can fix that. I can smooth things out and we can put Lego blocks together that weren't intended to go together, along with a little smidgen of custom seasoning from Spence that when tested on the whole makes a ton of things easier. Last thing, and I want to say thanks to everybody. I want to do a high five out to Anne. I'm not sure if she's here today, but she did take some other advice of mine, which is she's been working on the business model for some time and she has been struggling with getting some help. She ended up going to the Cadence group on Facebook, which I don't know if I'm logged in on this. So let's see. Hold on. I'll share this screen. Yeah, I think I can show this. So she went to the Cadence group. Web Creator Community by Cadence, and she found some really talented help, which this is one of the other things that I've been discussing. I just mentioned it now about having the kit and using Cadence means that there is an entire community. There's 14,700 members just here alone of people that are using that same underlying design software. And there's many professionals like Melissa Love and many of my other pals here who, Kathy's been on the show, who understand what the things are that need to be done. So even though that's not the full kit or all the business stuff, having Cadence for the design part means that Anne did a great job. I want to give her a high five. Getting somebody who she hired to help her build some additional templates for the business that she was already using the kit for. And I think that's amazing. And it's an example of how a company of one can expand out without hiring a bunch of people like as a permanent employee. You could just have relationships, but you can be very specific about what you need. I'm going to say, sorry for the slow start today, but I do it all live. Thank you, Anne. Oh, good. Yeah, she's there. And I'm going to wrap up on exactly the top of the hour. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I'm going to be doing my updates and releases you'll see in the kit. If you haven't joined me yet, click the orange button. I'll see you on the next Friday office hours.